Refinancing doesn't mean resetting the clock on your mortgage. That's if you do it wrong. I just showed a client how to ditch his 27-year mortgage, pay his home off in 3.3 years, saving him $162,000 in interest. All we're doing is utilizing a first lien HELOC, not your traditional 30-year fixed mortgage. This is the fastest way to pay off a home. Be smarter about your debt and get yourself out of mortgage jail. My name's Sean Uehara. I've been a mortgage lender for almost 20 years, and this strategy is by far the best way to get out of debt and stop throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars away in interest paid back to the bank. I wish I would have known this strategy 20 years ago when I got into business, because this would be the only thing I'd be teaching people how to get themselves out of debt quicker, so that way they can start building wealth and stop paying the banks all this money. Instead of making payments like you traditionally do on a mortgage, you use this HELOC as your checking account. Deposit your income in, because every time you make a deposit, you effectively lower the loan balance, which lowers the interest cost of your mortgage. You have access to your line of credit for 30 years. So if anything, this gives you access to more liquidity and capital, keeps you having access to money, so that way you don't need to continuously borrow and put money on credit cards. Get yourself out of debt faster and reduce the cost of interest paid over time on your mortgage. Here's my client's setup. So he owes $180,000 on his house. It's worth $350,000. He currently has a 6.125 interest rate. He's had his mortgage now for 3 years. His take-home pay every month is $8,500. So that's what gets deposited every month into this HELOC. He has $5,000 in his checking account, which we're going to reallocate that money to our HELOC. And at the end of the month, after he pays all of his bills and expenses, he has about $4,000 left over. So the right side of the screen here would represent his current mortgage if he took it out to its full term, paid it off in 27 years, never refinancing, never touching his mortgage whatsoever. That same $180,000 debt, we can refinance into this first lien HELOC. We pay it off in 40 months, 3.3 years, saving him $162,000 in interest. The average interest rate that we're using to model this out is 8.3%. But this is where a lot of you completely lose this idea, because you're so brainwashed by the banks to look at interest rate. You're going to say, why would you take an 8% interest rate? That's the stupidest thing you could do. However, when you look at this, you're only paying $25,000 in interest. That $25,000 in interest paid is the equivalent of having an effective APR on your mortgage of 0.9%. And because so many of you are just so in love with your interest rates, because that's all you understand when it comes to a mortgage, which is a total tragedy, you would rather stay in this mortgage because it has a lower interest rate than understanding that in 40 months, even with a higher interest rate, your effective rate is nearly 1%.